Hey everybody, I want to introduce you to my friend Lacy. She and I have worked together for a couple of months now, I think, and I want to be able to give her the opportunity to tell her story. And so, Lacy, welcome. Thanks for your willingness to share with me and with anyone that might be watching the video.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come on here and talk about my journey.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So let's talk about that. What were some of the things that you were facing, or some of the challenges that you had before you and I started meeting with one another?
Okay, well, it's a very long story, but I'm not going to go into all the details. But it started back in February. I had exhausted all means to therapy. We tried therapy. Me and my husband were going through quite a bit of struggles, and we tried different types of therapy, different types of counseling, and nothing seemed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing seemed to work. It was just solving surface level issues, but not solving the root of the problem.
Right.
And with the pandemic, we had kind of strayed away from our faith anyway. So I was looking for a more like spiritual, biblical root, get to the root of the issue, so we could learn and grow together
Mm-hmm.
and actually change our marriage.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was the core.
Right.
And I actually found you on Facebook, and the reason why I reached out to you was because you were local, and I was like, oh, he's in Clemens, that's great, And then I started researching more, and the idea of a personal coach was more ideal for us, well, for me, I guess you would say, rather than just going through the process of therapy and counseling over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Because we
Yeah.
had been in counseling for over a year and it didn't help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I looked into coaching. So,
Okay. Awesome. And so, how was it working with me? So I think we've actually seen each other about 2 months. I think is right.
yeah.
And what has our time been like for you?
Oh, man, I'm just glad that you messaged me. It was like, hey, it seems like things didn't work out like you were hoping it would. So you actually reached out to me in August.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like I moved back to my hometown, and I was starting my life over.
Yeah.
So, went through the phases of things didn't work out like we were hoping it would. I come to terms with that and got a lot of peace and comfort through that over the summer. But then you reached out right when I firmly believe you reached out right when God needed you to reach out to me.
Right. Right.
Because I was in a very transitional part of my life, moving back to my hometown, having a lot of like faith questions, having a lot of like doubt of, things about my family and growing up, and just trauma in the sense of like uh, what happened between me and my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just being able to have somebody to cheer you on, um,
Mm-hmm.
and have the support was nice. But I think if I look back at the past, like I guess you would say 3 months now because it's November,
Mm.
because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
But I think it was just nice to have somebody that was wise and that knew the scripture, applied it, and you lived it. I mean, having your testimony of faith was nice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Having your, I guess you would say, maturity and growth mindset of, spiritual things was comforting for me, because I
Mm-hmm.
needed somebody that was going to challenge me in different ways spiritually. And then having the wisdom that you provided, like the psychological background and the counselor background and the therapist background. I always say I was like, you're a jack of all trades. which is a nice atmosphere to be in because it's not just like just one dimensional. So I
Right.
think it was very beneficial.
Yeah.
Um,
So tell me, what? Well, I do. I should say too. So when we met in February, we didn't end up working together at that point because
right.
there was so much going on that we didn't
There
work
was
together. But
so
then
much
when we
going
talked in August, uh, circumstances had changed quite a bit in your life, and your husband had moved on, and so you were kind of, like you said, starting over.
Yes.
And so that's when we started working together. Um, I
And
love to
even
hear
back in
that.
February, like when we started, the principles of like John Gottman and the things that you were teaching us then, I was like super excited.
Yeah,
I was like, so I started doing my own research. I didn't know anything about him.
yeah,
I think I had heard a little bit about him from different resources in like the Christian world,
yeah,
but I did not know what all he brought to the table
yeah,
for healing marriages.
yeah,
So I was super excited. I was like all gung ho,
yeah,
and everything fell to the wayside with that situation.
yeah,
So yeah,
right.
we didn't work together in February, but you reached back out, and I was more than happy to start that process over again.
Yeah, awesome.
So even though it wasn't directed solely on salvaging what was broken, in turn, I needed it. I
Mm-hmm.
needed all of this because I think it was nice. It was comforting for me because I didn't have to repeat everything from my past. I
Right,
didn't have to start completely over. It was
right.
like you knew exactly what I was going through.
Yeah,
And it's a lot when you're trying to move forward and then you had to go back and revisit all of the trauma.
right.
Like you knew, and we stayed in contact, and then you really just got to the core of what
Yeah,
needed to happen for me.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, I think that you may have already kind of answered the third question I like to ask people, and that is, would you recommend working with me and why? Why would you recommend working with me?
yeah. So, like I said before, Wade is a jack of all trades. So that was one thing that, and the way I presented it to everybody that I talked to about my sessions and, all everything, I was like, he's a great listener, one, and I think more than anything, it like you're supportive, you're compassionate, but you actually remember what we're talking about, which is nice.
Uh-huh.
You remember what we're talking about, and you're very empathetic towards the different situations.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people might have a lot of different things going on in their life, but the questions that you ask when you say, "Well, how's your soul?" And there's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes where I was like, you know what? I've been so busy in my life, I don't know.
Yeah.
So just having somebody that can ask those questions and truly reconnect you to your faith, and you provided a lot of resources for me in a business coach kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I see it was it's not going to stop right here.
Yeah.
Like my growth, i'm I'm taking responsibility for where we stopped and applying it to my everyday life,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
exciting. And there's sometimes where I'm like, man, I need to get back into the
Yeah.
back into coaching. But yeah, there's those questions in life where you're like, what would Wade say? What would Wade do?
We'll get you a
What
little
would
bracelet.
Yeah? What would Wade do?